because I'll be live on stream. Like, I'll be streaming it. If I see like a brick face on the home screen, I'll be doing that. I'll be walking off and just leaving the stream. I'll be gone.
I've tried a director of football save, and you end up with 4 goalkeepers and no left back for the season. So what can you do?
Yeah,
like,
so
I feel like AI transfers are a little bit broken as they are. So which is why that kind of mode becomes irrelevant because it just doesn't work as it should do.
This has been the longest months ever.
Thank God someone else said it, because I remember like boasting. I was like, oh yeah, I've got lots of energy to play FM24. And now I'm like, my God, this month is taking forever.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the FM show. I am your host Tony Jameson, and joining me this week we've got a full house. We've got the returning right hand man, RDF Tactics aka Arron Falloon. We've got the one and only Si Maggio, and returning for I think probably about a year since the last time he was on, everyone say hello to McKins. McKins, how are you, my friend? Are you well?
Oh, I'm good. I'm excited. I'm ready. Let's have some FM chat.
Let's have some FM chat. It has been a pleasure to speak to you. Obviously, as I say, we mentioned there, it was about a year ago since you were last on. So I'm guessing quite a bit's happened since then.
It's been a while, hasn't it? I know you tried to get me on before, and then I accidentally blanked you, and I didn't mean to do so. Life's been busy, but I'm back now, and pleasure to be here. So let's have a catch up. How's life?
Let's have a catch up. Life's good. Life's all right. Life's going fine. We're 9 days into 2025. Yeah, fine. It's okay so far. I'm not sending it back. I'll keep it for now.
Have we got any news resolutions? Anyone?
I've broken them already.
Oh.
Me and Si talked about them in the last episode.
The whole show, isn't it?
Do you want to go for it, Si? What we were talking about?
Well, what did we have as a New Year's resolution? You were going to complete a challenge, weren't you? I mean, you kind of already broken it. Like, you've got the whole year to do that.
Technically, I've got that. I'm not allowed to let my actual football opinions take part in Football Manager, and I've already done that, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, apart from that, I think I'm okay so far. Arron, have you broken anything? Have you given anything as a resolution, or
Try not to have any more babies.
Okay. Oh, in that case, can I have that resolution as well, please? Because I'll happily take that.
Yeah, so I've got my room now, or this office, is turned into a little nursery, because now we're preparing for our third, which is supposed to be coming anytime soon. So yeah, that's what we're preparing for at the moment. But yeah, no more, man, no more. I thought 2 was all right. Now leading up to the 3, the 2 is just absolutely mayhem. Now we're just regretting this third, and we're like, oh my days, we have to go through all of this again. But yeah.
So just for context, by the way, so in about 12 years' time, when your third child watches this back on the internet, Daddy really was happy that you came. just really looking forward to it.
Welcome to the world.
He was less happy that he came.
Yeah, I'm waiting for about 5 more episodes in when Aaron's got the baby in the background, because
man,
his recording room now becomes the nursery, and it's like busy recording. We get a distraction from a baby crying, going, "Yep, got to take this one, lads." Sorry.
Actually, in fatherhood news, Arron, you told us that your son is playing FM now.
I was just about to say
sorry,
that.
I've stolen your thunder.
I was just about to say it might not be too long before he joins the podcast, but yeah, he's playing Football Manager. He's playing it on the phone, so he's playing is it the touch, not the mobile version, the touch version on the mobile phone.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's quite intriguing, and it's funny to see him get frustrated at some of the things that we've complained about on the show as well. For like the inbox, for like he hates the must respond stuff. Like he thinks it's a drag, it annoys him. But it's funny because he's been watching me a lot as well. So when I pull up a player's profile, once he sees greens, he's like, "Ooh, that's a good player." I'm just like, mate. But yeah, that's a proud moment seeing him play the game.
He'll be teaching you soon.
Yeah, oh man. So one thing that people say, why don't you do like a 1v1 video sort of thing? I'm like, mate, if I lose to a 5-year-old, I don't think that would be it there, retirement.
He'll be like, well, you come to my YouTube channel and I'll teach you how to play the game.
I tell you what, if he completes the Pentagon before I do, I'll be really upset.
Didn't Mrs. J do a match once, Tony?
Oh, yeah, Mrs. J is unbeaten on stream. She did it once, she won. Eldest Jameson's got a pretty good record on stream as well, with his incredible sprint run goal tactic. He won 6-1. Just shouted sprint run goal at the screen all the time. I was like, right, that'll do.
That works.
I think it's Lelujo's tactic as well, isn't it? Sprint run goal.
Yeah.
Youngest Jameson hasn't had a go just yet. But yeah, it's not long before I'm going to be the worst person who plays Football Manager in our household, so
That would
it's
be
going to
sad.
be a rite of passage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to be ousted from my own podcast as well. But yeah, okay. Well, and you know what I also quite like as well, Si, that when you went in Fatherhood News, I was like, is that a newspaper? Is that like a new magazine that we need to look out for? So
It's that bit at the end of Have I Got News For You? It's like titles from obscure, periodicals.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the update so far, then, McKins. That's all you've missed from us, apparently.
Nice.
Does McKins have any resolutions?
Do I? Well, mine was to be kinder to my body, and I had a Chinese tonight, so it's not going particularly well.
Depends what you define as kind, doesn't it?
Depends what you did with it as well.
Move more and eat less. That's kind of my mantra. And if anything, I'm moving less and eating more, so it's not starting very well. But there's always time. We're only in the first 2 weeks.
You got all of 2025. Don't ruin it all in week one, is it?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they need to do? You know, like Pokemon Go or, well, any of those games where you have to go out and catch things. Could you imagine if, like, it was Pokemon Go, but it was like football stickers, football cards, and you had to go out and catch...
What, Messi just
or
running down the
transfer
street and go catch Messi?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get a shiny Messi. You've got a shiny Messi. Like FIFA could do it, right? They could just get their FIFA cards up, and you got to go out and earn your FIFA cards, and they're all at like FIFA trading stops or transfer shops or whatever you want to call them.
This could be genius. This could be a great idea.
Right, let's copyright this right now, right? Because someone is going to steal this. We could be sitting on a gold mine. This podcast could be off the air in 3 months' time when we decide to do this instead. You know what? I'm going with it. I quite like it, to be honest.
And it tracks your steps, like in Pokemon Go. So, like, if you do lots of steps, the eggs hatch and things like that, or you get candy and things like that. Not real candy, like candy levels the Pokemon up. Well, imagine if, like, the more steps you did or the more exercise you did, the more fitness your players got ready for, like, head-to-head matches.
Jeez, Si's trying to get people out the house.
I know, yeah, okay. I'm getting into this. So, also what you could do as well is you could do what Pokemon Go did do, and therefore use all the actual data that you're getting and the geodata and sell it to the company who are now building a new version of Google Maps and using that for evil rather than for good. So,
And is Google Maps evil?
well, whatever they're redoing it is going to be evil because it's now inside of buildings and everything. But that's fine. Don't worry, it'll be lovely. Let's go and get a shiny Alan Hutton card from somewhere. I'm sure we can all do that. That'll be quite nice, actually. And presumably then football stadiums would be the sort of the poker stop, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be stadiums.
Yeah.
Could be pitches, could be, memorials, could be anything. Yeah,
Football
get people
memorials,
out
I'm
there.
presuming, not just general, like walking past a graveyard. That'll do.
Well, poker stops or anything, aren't they? Actually, that was like a controversial
thing.
thing.
I was like, whoa, wait, huh?
Because like poker stops were just pinned onto places of local interest. Some of them were pinned onto things like graveyards, and like some graveyards had to be like, stop walking in our graveyard to catch Charizard. It's like a bit inappropriate. Just like groups of kids hanging around in a graveyard.
Let's be honest, we'd end up using them as sports direct or JD Sport or something, wouldn't you? Just like, right, there's one. Get some extra shin pads in. It'd be brilliant. We've gone off track already.
I know.
Which is
Well,
unsurprising.
It's great.
You can tell it's a bit of a downtime for Football Manager. That's the. We're waiting.
It's a little bit like, you know what? We've spoken about this a little while. And I was like, originally going, it'll be fine. It's only a couple of months. This has been the longest months ever.
Thank God someone else said it, because I remember like boasting. I was like, oh yeah, I've got lots of energy to play FM24. And now I'm like, my God, this month is taking forever.
Yeah. McKins, what have you done in the last 27 years since FM24 came out?
Well, try to play more of the game, but I mean, you reach a point where it's been a year and 4 months now, and we're not used to it for that long, are we? We're not used to playing the same game for that long, so it does feel like it's dragging a little bit now. We need March to come because we're all waiting. There's negative emotions, there's positive emotions. Like, we just need it now. We need it here so we can all judge fairly based on the actual game, as opposed to people judging when they don't have a clue what's going on.
See, I'm with you on this one, right? Like, I was all set to be, it'll be fine, it's going to be great, we'll just continue playing as normal. And I didn't think anything of it until over Christmas. I made the mistake of, I went through my old save files and stuff, trying to clean up some bits and pieces in the background. And I realised that I had like a little test save, and it was a Sunderland save. So I thought I'd load it up, right, just to see what it was and where we were. And do you know what annoyed me about it? And this is what made me realise just how long we've been sat on FM24, was when it loaded up and I was like, that's last season's kit. I'm not playing a game with last season's kits, I'm sorry. And that was like, I'm out, it's taking too long now.
Oh my god.
So what was the moment for you, Si? When did you sort of go like, it's been too long?
I mean, my 3-season Bilbao save is now 11 seasons in, and I've still not beaten Real Madrid. And the worst thing is, I won the cup finally, so I've won two of the two cups now. But I finished second in the league. Champions League semi-final, knocked out in like the 90th minute. It's like, that means I've got to do one more year at least. And we're just like, okay, I've got to do one more year. But the problem is, if I do, my worry is I'm going to hit that Champions League final or that league at some point, and then I'm going to go, and it's going to be like maybe, I don't know, the first week of February, and I'm going to go, now what do I do for a month? Like, I've got to find something just right for like maybe an undetermined amount of time to play. Probably somewhere between 6 weeks or something.
Southampton's an option, isn't it? We could do Southampton for him.
I did Southampton for the beta. I won the Champions League with the Southampton in my 4th season or 3rd season.
Did you love it?
Yes, it was actually kind of fun. They got much better players in game than in real life. It was way back last season though, so I took over them in the Championship. They've replaced players since then. They've sold some of the youngsters, and one of them went to Juve, one of them went. I don't know who else but they were good players, like the Man City centre back Harwood Bellis. He's like, he's pretty good in 24 in the base game. Like, if you do an updated database, I don't know what they're like now.
Yeah, and then Arron obviously won the league with Birmingham, so that's another save already done.
You could try Sunderland.
Yeah, he definitely did. I mean, I'm still struggling on in this Pentagon that was never going to happen. It was a stupid idea to try and do a Pentagon in a short space of time.
I mean, you went to
Tony, when I saw you were going to start it, I was like, now? Really? Is this a good idea?
Honestly, like, you know what? Like, what I need to do, right? Because we did it on the podcast, and Llama told me on the show, but don't do it. And everybody knew I'd already loaded it up. Like, basically was going the next day because I had no other ideas in my head. And I was like, this is, even by my standards, this is a stupid idea. And oh, God, I'm in Argentina, and it's like, oh, why am I there?
The sun? The weather? I don't know.
No, I'm too pasty. I don't like the sun. I'm not just getting it. If anything, that's angering me as well because I'm too sweaty. I don't like it. I got to a point where because we went to, well, basically the plan was, I don't know if you know about this, McKins, right? But I was meant to go to MLS because my chat don't like me very much, and they thought send me there and that'll be really fun. And by the time we'd finished this record and I told that story, I was already in Argentina and missed MLS because there was no jobs there yet.
All right.
But we went to Rosario Central because they were in the Copa Libertadores. And I was like, that's brilliant. I've not won the African Champions League. Let's not go and win the South American one. So got in there, started really well, like won loads of won a few league games, then won 3 Libertadores games back to back. And I'm like, top of my group here. This is going all right. And then I turned the computer off. And I know all the SIs say it's not a thing, but
It's a thing.
It
We all
is
know it's a
impossible.
thing.
When I was flying, switched it back on again, and all my players went, "Who's he? Who's this fella? Like, what are you doing here trying to tell us what to do?" And the form just nosedived. All the players started kicking off. So, and I leant into it. I made an Argentinian save because my star striker was like, "I want a new contract." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then he went, "I want 23 grand a week." And I was like, "I can offer you 11. And he didn't like it. So he kicked off and he went, "You said I was going to have a new contract." And I was like, "I said you could have a new contract offer. You chose not to accept it." So then he kicked off, and then all the other players are like, "How comes he hasn't got a new contract?" And I'm like, "You tell him." There's no option to go, "We offered him something he didn't accept."
Yeah.
So SI, if you're listening, put that down on a little list of suggestions, by the way,
Yes,
for the future.
agreed,
Because
yes.
what that did was that caused mutiny in the camp. And everybody hated me for a long period of time. And then more defeats. And then we got knocked out of the Copa Libertadores because I lost all my other games. And then the El Sacico thing comes up. And I'm like, oh, this has gone badly very quickly. And then somehow I end up winning the last few matches. And now everyone loves me. And I'm like, oh, God, I've got to keep going. This is the halfway point. The league's split. I've got another 74 games or something to finish the season.
It sounds like you're really enjoying it.
Tis the season to be jolly.
Fair to say it's not your favourite save ever, then.
Not especially, no. Also, the thing is, it's not my worst. It's not my least favourite either. That's the worst thing.
Because you've been in Germany for a few seasons.
I did do a save in Germany, yeah. I took over the Würzburger Kickers. Only reason was I thought it was a cool name. Like I wanted to go to non-league Germany and thought, look, that is a cool name. We'll do those. And yeah, ended up getting to the Bundesliga and having a lot of fun with it. So it was good. Well, I'm currently doing something called the 5-Season Challenge, which is basically a rip-off of the FIFA World Cup featuring Football Manager, where you select a team from my selection of 10, and you earn points based on how you do, and it's like a competition between me and anyone else who wants to join in and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, and now I'm thinking maybe I need to do this. If I finish Bilbao, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it's good. Our mate Andrew Statline has created like a little spreadsheet to fill in all the data, and it'll work out how many points you've got and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a fun idea. I'm doing Nottingham Forest at the moment. Somehow managed to get third in my first season.
So can you choose anyone, any team?
So it was the Premier League 10 teams that haven't been in Europe for a long time. So if you like rank all the Premier League teams in like reputation, it's the bottom 10. So you're talking like Brentford, Bournemouth, that kind of level.
Okay, yeah.
So you choose one, 5 seasons, just to see how many points you can get. So I finally won the league with Forest in my 3rd season, which I thought was pretty good. So yeah, it's going quite well. Managed to get 3rd in the first season, which meant Champions League almost immediately, and you get more points for being in Europe, as early on as possible. So managed to attract some good players early on, and it's set myself up for a pretty good team for the last couple of years.
Are you doing
good.
that? I'm gonna bankrupt my team. Transfers.
I'm trying not to go too far with it. Obviously,
Trademarked, I believe.
Yeah.
Arron, trademarked. That is.
saw what you lot did at the World Cup and thought I'm not going to go that far. But yeah, I'm in a perilous financial position, but that's not my problem.
Yeah,
that's the Germans'
proud.
problem.
I'm proud we didn't use it. There was only that one player and was like, It's just so tempting to do it though. It's like if there's a challenge, it's so tempting. So yeah, we sort of broke the bank with Onana, but then it helped the fact that we done well later on. So you sort of made that money back, but as you're doing it just feels so dirty. But people at the World Cup, they were proud that we're doing it.
Does it? Why does it feel dirty? Real clubs, look at what's happened. Like Barcelona in their situation now, because
that's the difference between you're buying lots of players like Dani Almo, 30 million. Like these guys are literally buying 20 million people for like 80 million pounds, just going absolute crazy with it. So yeah.
But this is the thing. This is part of, and this is what I'm hoping for. Right, this is the crux of what's we're going to talk about as the show goes on. Hopes and dreams for FM25 and beyond. I would like in the future builds for there not to be exploits like that in the game. There's certain things that are too gamey for me personally.
Yeah.
Buying players on the never and restructuring all these payments to ridiculous things. I know there'll be people in the chat going, oh, but clubs do that in real life. They do, to an extent. Right? They don't go, this player's worth 20 million quid. Well, how about we give you 140 million over 47 years, and it's not that. Like, the game puts these things in places to go, right, this player's valued at 20 million, we'll sell him for 90 million. That's the game telling you that player is not for sale. The club do not want to sell him.
Yeah,
and if you are going to buy him, you are going to have to offer an obscene amount of money. But there should be somebody at the club who goes, we're not doing this. Don't be so stupid.
Yeah. There should be a line, and that's a good idea. Just get the board to stop it, because there is other ways. Like, the board does do other things in the game, like stops it. I just don't. I think this one sort of just slips underneath them because of the structure payment. So it's just like they don't really focus on it too much. But in the game, it does. There are like certain transfers. It's like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
I had one when I was in South Africa. We tried to buy a player from Orlando Pirates. We were Kaiser Chiefs at the time, okay? And the board refused to let us sign him because he played for a rival. And they said, we won't sign him from this player because it will cause too much unrest between the two clubs. And I'm like, okay, right, I sort of get that, because of course there are clubs that teams don't buy from. But there's also that thing of going, but we're challenging for a title and we're looking to destabilise a rival. So that would happen in real life, wouldn't it? There'd be that balance swing. And again, football's littered with players that have crossed the divide. Everyone supports a club that goes, oh yeah, they did play for the other team down the road and we didn't really like it, and blah, blah, blah. So some of that little bit maybe needs balancing out a little bit for me. That realism key, I think.
So what about having like a relationship bar with you and your sporting directors? So like, it happens in real life, right? Like, your sporting directors are going to prefer players they're going to prefer their own players over the players that you have. So there could be some sort of thing where the more you go with their players, the more your relationship is in green or whatever it is. But the more you swing your way, it's just like, what's the point of signing that person in the first place? There should be having some sort of consequence to having these guys and not listening to their advice, sort of thing, and making it a working relationship. Because in football, it's all like successful teams, like their relationships are good. It's like Pep's not going to have like much issues with whoever's doing the transfer business over at Manchester City. They're going to have like their list of targets, and they're going to somewhat come to some agreement. Klopp, once he got certain players that he thought he needed, but then the sporting director got certain players like Mane. I mean, look how that turned out, sort of thing. So there should be that sort of relationship. And again, because sometimes you could just buy these staff members in Football Manager FM24, just buy a whole load of them, and there's just no relationship. There's just nothing. Like, why have you got this person if you've not once asked, who should I bring in? You've just got that person because it makes your staff little colours in your staff room look all nice and pretty.
You just want the yellow bar, don't you? You just want the yellow bar.
Yeah, literally.
He wants more bars, more yellow bars. He wants to put like a console game, McKins. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why in real life teams don't just go out and just hire staff, because everyone thinks differently and they've got their own views and stuff. So I think that there could be some sort of element of that in the game as well. FM25.
What do you reckon, McKins? Is that on your list of things that you'd like? Like essentially, we're talking there, Arron, like a staff overhaul, or is it more like, are you looking for like football manager relationship builder?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I just like that thing of just signing so many staff at once, and it's just like it doesn't really make sense. And that's like talking about the realism. It's just like it wouldn't really happen in real life, where Arsenal just go into a staff list like, oh, 20s, oh, he's great. Oh, 20s, just sign him, sort of thing. It's just like, if that coach prefers defensive football, then why would you sign him if you're playing Gegenpress or whatever it is? So I think there should be some sort of, I don't know, some sort of engagement there.
Process.
Yeah. Some thought process and engagement.
That comes back to what you were saying, Tony, about it being more of a game than real life. Like,
we're
doing it to get as many stuff as we can to get the bar to yellow. That's not really thinking about how football works. That's doing it to get closer to complete the game, almost.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, I'm always like, I always do job adverts, and I know this is probably like I make the game more difficult for myself all the time. I know this, but I don't do staff searching. I don't do player searching. Like job adverts for staff, and then trust the scouts for players. I try to make it a bit more realistic. Like, yes, you look at the bars and that, you'll realise, okay, we need a goalkeeper coach because our goalkeepers aren't brilliant. Right, stick an advert out for the goalkeeper coach. Go and do that. See what comes back. You might get someone good, you might not. But it's got to be, McKins. There's got to be a thing where if you bring loads of players in, then it takes ages for the squad dynamic to settle. But as Arron says, if you bring a whole load of staff in, there should also be negative consequences with that.
Yeah.
That
takes time to blend, surely.
Yeah, and it is the way you get staff in is very, very random. Like you'll just get a random guy from like Spain that you've never heard of, but because he's got 20 goalkeeping, you think, oh, he'd be perfect for my team. When actually, if you haven't got any players or any staff members that actually speak Spanish, I
was just gonna say
in real life it just isn't going to work, is it? But 20 goalkeeping, so bring him in. Yeah, turns up with his goalkeeping gloves. Dive.
Is that the way to do it then, Si? Is it like sort of actually like, dial it down a little bit and look at the attributes, or is it just ex-footballer? That'll do.
Yeah, I don't know. Or like, I think you just got to do what's more fun. Like just take on. I don't know. Well, like, it depends what your goal is. What's the goal?
Well, this is the problem, innit? And I always say this is we're trying to make with the SI are trying to make a game that appeals to everybody. We understand that, so it's not easy to do. Try and appeal to someone who just wants to play for a few seasons, or someone who wants to do 30, 40, 50 seasons, right? So it's got to be simple. But I also believe that there's got to be, even within that area of simplicity, there's got to be some element of negative consequence to what you do. So it can't just be that easy to go, right, we're just going to put staff in and we'll get the guy who's got 20 and it'll work. And then there we go. There's got to be a little bit of, well, you've got the guy who's 20, but hey, he doesn't speak English, or he doesn't fit in the area, or he gets another job very quickly and goes. And right, then what? You know? Or you can't sack your current member of staff, you know, to get him in, like those sorts of things. There's got to be a little bit more of that, and I just wonder whether or not there is more. What's the word I'm looking for? Almost like not like visible options, but there's got to be more areas of where you can do more in the game if you want to, but not like delegation. Does that sort of make sense, or am I just too high level at this point still?
It's like with the staff thing, like I don't think it needs to be complicated. Like I don't think it needs to change anyone's game style. Like we all just sign staff just the fact that we can do it. It's not really a game style. There's no negativity. There's no drawback or criticism from players for if Football Manager wanted to add something in like that. And I don't think it should be something that takes that much time as well. So, for example, like you say, you want new staff members, you just use the advert. Then we could just do that, but then your sporting director is giving you a page of coaches that make sense to you rather than just a whole load of random coaches. And it shouldn't be that you're just going to get 5-star all the time. So I don't know if you lot play FIFA, like the FIFA career mode. When you start up, sometimes you get these coaches, you get a list of coaches and it's got like, they've all got star ratings, but at the start, you can't always just go and get 5-star, 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 5-star. And I think that in Football Manager, it can work that way. Like, you want an attacking coach, and this is the sort of the best attacking coach. He's only 3-star at the moment, but that's what's there. Instead of going to Sao Paulo and just getting this 5-star guy you've never heard about, and it's just so random that you just flew all the way to Sao Paulo just to find this attacking coach.
Well, because what I'm thinking of then in that sense, because like, so when you take over at a club on the game, whether it's at the start of the game or whether it's mid-season or whatever, you get that little meeting with the club. And they say, oh, we recommend these sorts of staff to you.
Okay,
that's great when you first start. But they never seem to do that during your career at the club. No one ever says, like, in the club, oh, just so you know, I've heard good things about this coach.
Yeah, they do. Like, they do it like 3 times a week. That email is so annoying.
Oh, is that in the email that I don't read? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
Which email's that?
There's one. It comes
on the
up and it's like,
weekly
this
meeting,
guy
I
would
just
be
keep
good as a
ignoring.
coach. This
Okay.
guy would be good as a scout. This guy would be good as a.
Oh, okay, yes. Oh, yeah.
I'll
Yeah, I know
on
you're
the
talking about.
podcast, so I don't look like
Yeah.
an idiot.
It's like the one you get one that's about like training, and you get one that's about recruiting players and staff, and it's like
Yeah,
it's
no, there
mostly-
is, yeah.
There's a middle bit. It's
Exactly,
about,
yeah.
you should get these staff in.
But again, that there's no logic to it. He just gives you like one or two, I think max 3 names, and it's just like there's no logic to it. It's just like this
Yeah,
is
but
a
it's
coach,
like weekly.
and then just sign. Yeah,
And some of them are so random that they're just really crap and aren't at the level. Like,
yeah.
every time I look
there's
and
that
think,
as well, yeah.
you've recommended me a coach, brilliant, right? They must be good then. They would be literally the worst coach at the club.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
I was just complaining that sometimes we just go out and get the best ones, but the ones that they do recommend is like, I mean, come on, I'm Brentford. You're literally giving me a Conference League ability coach here.
right, which is why we do it.
Yeah, but it's staff recommendations. You got to sack your own staff if they're giving you bad recommendations. They're just getting their mates in, aren't they? You know, someone's been
yeah.
down the pub, told him,
I wouldn't
"Get
even
me a
mind
job
that,
at Brentford."
You know, I wouldn't even mind that. It was just, personally, just like, look, Zinchenko's just recently retired. He's looking for his first job or whatever it is. Even that, I just think it just brings an element of like interest in the game, and it's a little bit more engaging than just going to staff search and just putting in 15 determination.
But you can do that
level
with
of what-
retiring players as well. You can convince them to become coaches.
You convince them, yeah, but
Or they'll tell you they want to become a coach, and they'll ask you, they're
Yeah,
like, "Hey,
yeah.
I want a coaching role."
I guess it depends on how you play the game, though, right? Because, like, Lelujo would say he never uses the player search.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
purely just goes with who the scouts bring in, which in a way is more realistic to real life. Because real life people won't have, oh, here's a player search of every player on the earth, and you can
But they
search.
do.
And...
You can do that. You
Can
do
you?
that.
you can and you can't. Yeah, it's like you can search for, but it's not gonna.
You get
I would-
attributes.
yeah.
No, it won't be as easy as you can on FM.
Yeah,
Just-
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but you also not got a manager in real life just typing into a search bar Vinicius. Like, that'll do. Just like, get him. Like, all right, who's Real Madrid's top goal scorer? Let's find that out, right? In, you know, or who's listed as Wonder Kid. You know, I know there's technically some way of doing that as well in real life as well, but
That's the media description. You could find
yeah,
that.
well, that's what I mean. That's what I say. There's technical ways of doing that, but it's not quite like Aaron's just said there, right? I want all players who could do 15 and over. Like, you know, there's not, there's not that level of detail that's available for real managers. I suppose you then have to go into stats and data and analysis, and that's the bit that needs to be in the game. Which I'm like, that should be in the game, but then I also in my head go, no, it shouldn't, because I don't understand it. Take it away. It scares me.
But that is also in the game. The data, the kind of data they get for the clubs, is also in the game.
No, what
That's
I
the
mean
money
is, though,
we'll
is
save.
because I keep talking about get rid of the attributes and just have the stats and data, but that's the bit that I know when if I only had that, I'd be quite scared of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not a professional UEFA rated coach. You wouldn't know what to take or what to use. Like, what do you
Barely.
want?
This
Passing
is-
completion rates?
Barely a
You want
Sunderliga.
forward movement, more forward movement? Do you want high sprint speed? Do you want their oxygen
this is-
tests?
I think but this is my thing. Another reason why I think a lot of people use player search as well, because they're still trying to find logic in what they're signing, right? Like, they're looking for a fast winger. That's the reason why they go into player search, and they're looking for someone that's fast. And this is where like, I do find just listening to your scouts more realistic. But then again, and I've said this before as well about the scouting on the game. It's just no logic to it. It's just that he just throws a bunch of players at you. It's just so weird. Like, it doesn't really make sense as well. Like, and even when you're trying to search things and you're looking for like an advanced forward, and the guy's just giving you someone that just doesn't look like an advanced forward at all, and all that sort of stuff, it just makes no, like, the logic in the scouting for me in Football Manager, it's just a bit loose, and I think that's why people just rather just go to the player search and just look for a pace. Like, I think there are certain profiles, like inside forward, right? But then again, it's going to stop you from using attributes, and you can only search by that player profile inside forward, but you're looking for something specific, like someone fast, and you can't literally go out and ask a scout to find someone fast. Little things like that, I think it should just be easy. So someone like you say, you don't really understand the data, but then, like, I think you should just ask your scout just to go and find the goal scorer. It should be like something so simple like that, or that has good goal scoring ratio or something like that. It should be something so simple like that.
even off the back of that, you like, so say for example, because I'm aware that part of this episode is about what do we want FM to start looking like going forward, right? Because we're in this new era of FM. Okay, so theoretically we should be considering change. We should be considering development, you know, and it's not for FM25. It could be 26, 27, 28, whatever, right? I know that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be, no, we want it to stay exactly the same as it is and never change ever. Thank you very much, please. Some people want things taken out. Some people want things added in. Some people don't know what they want, and that's completely fine. And I think I probably fall a little bit into that category of I don't quite know what I want, because part of me is looking at going, well, they could do a complete revamp of the game, right? They won't, because it's far too risky now. They've got a lot of people involved playing it. Why would you then revamp it and go, oh, loads of people like this, let's change it completely? That's, you know, business suicide. I would like to look at that when you're saying there, Aaron, about your scouts. I'd like a simplistic way of doing it would be, say to your scout, go get me a pacey winger, go and get me a skillful midfielder, go and get me a playmaker, and you would be able to trust your scouts to go and do that for you without having to physically sit on the attributes yourself, because then that puts more element in the actual ability of your scout rather than just your scout being, again, fairly random, and
someone's
there's
probably
no
screaming
rhyme or
like,
reason as to who brings what back.
Yeah, I think someone's probably screaming, but the game does do that. So, like, when you do recruitment focus, and like, it literally does show you your own formation that you're using, and you can sort of like, I'm looking for a left winger. Like, your formation might have an inverted left winger, so the moment you press left winger on that little formation thing, it's just gonna find an inverted left winger. There's little bit, but then when you're actually looking at the players and stuff like that, that's where it loses me, because it's like that's where the logic, like, you're not using your own logic there to find these players, which is literally, sometimes I even get in, like, it could be like in December and I'm looking for a player. I could be Arsenal or whatever, and I'm looking for a star player. But just because, let's say, like, for an example, this is probably a bad example, but let's just say Rafael Leao is, that's a bad example. But let's just say someone good, but they're transfer listed, because someone's good, but they're transfer listed, so they've got no game time. But just because their star is 4 stars, that's strict. They're just automatically recommending them to me, and that's what they're using a lot of the times. They're using those stars rather than form. That's what I'm trying to get at. So that there's no, like, they're not really using the form of the players that are in the game. They're just using star ratings, and that's all the game is basically running off, just star ratings. So there might be a striker that's just banging in goals at Sunderland, but just because your scout thinks he's 2.5 stars, he's totally ignoring him, not giving him the credit for scoring those goals, but then will give you someone that's transfer listed at West Brom that hasn't really played any games, hasn't really scored any goals, but just because he's 3 stars, then they just give you that player.
But what if we're comparing like real life to Football Manager? What a game can't do is, the first thing, like in real life, if you were looking at a player, you'd have to consider, where does the player live, and do they want to relocate to where you are? And it might be that, like, Swindon had a player at the start of the season that came and signed for us, and within 2 weeks he had left because too far away from his family, wanted to go back up north. Like, you can't have that in Football Manager, and that almost is like the most important thing, really, when it comes to signing a player in real life.
That's
because
true.
That means that you then get the role that I want in the game, which is player liaison officer. Get that in, and then they'll help those players settle in. Yeah. Not all the time,
again, there is that in the game, innit? So you've got your own assistant that you can't really speak to, and all of this. You've actually got an assistant in the game. I think there is a player liaison in the game as well, but again, that they don't have actual profiles and that sort of stuff.
No,
there's no engagement with them. Yeah.
So it comes back to, like, you can come up with a list of 79 inside forwards, but what it doesn't tell you is, well, he's 17, he lives in Bulgaria. So is he going to want to come over? So-and-so's wife is pregnant up in Scotland, so doesn't want to come down to Swindon. Like, so a game can't really do that.
Old player lives in London and wants to travel up on the day of the match, so then doesn't want to train, all that sort of thing. And, would that be interesting for about 5 minutes? Probably. Would it be interesting after another year?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Probably not.
But
I think they've tried to add that. They've tried to add that element into the game, innit? It's in the game. I think it used to be like more effective before, and they've toned it down completely. I don't think it's even like it's of any effect at all. But the players do have preferred not to play in this country, and I'm guessing maybe legal reasons now they can't really add that as well to the players, because someone was like, "Hang on a second, I've got no problem with Belgium. I live in
I think they
Belgium.
have those ones. I think they have that sort of trait on the scout and analysis report of would have trouble settling in a new country. I think that's how they sort of the word it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or would like someone from the same international
Would
setup
like
to
a
play.
mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Si, what do you reckon? Are we making this overly complicated, or is this?
I mean, now
something
you
else we
said that, I'm thinking about player recruitment agents. And I was reading The Athletic or whatever yesterday. I can't mention The Athletic on here anymore, can I? The Athletic yesterday. And they were talking about Aubameyang and why he left Barcelona. And it basically wasn't a footballing reason. It was because his house got burgled in Barcelona. And then he didn't settle in. He fell out with Arteta at Arsenal. So that's why he left. He went to Barcelona. But then, there was an armed robbery at his house. I'm not asking for them to put armed robbery in the game, obviously. But, he then didn't feel safe in Barcelona, so he moved to Chelsea. But they didn't settle him properly in Chelsea. So, that transfer also failed. And it just didn't work out. And like not player recruitment agents. What are they called? Relocation agents or something, right?
player liaison and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, right. I think that's like a really. And when we talked to Jack as well, when we had Jack on the other week, who works at Lincoln and was working at Coventry, he was talking about how important that is. Making sure a player is settled when they come to the club, more than just like telling your captain to go say hello to him. You'd hope your captain goes says hello to him. Imagine if they didn't. So it's like, well, actually, we need to make sure we get this guy a house. We get his kids into the school and like whatever he needs. Make sure his wife has got shops she likes nearby and things like that. Sorry, that probably actually came out. It sounds a bit sexist me putting it like that, but it's.
Is this another one of those potential legal issues though, where they could only sort of like have it work with new gen players?
Yeah.
And like,
I don't think you even need to apply it necessarily to the players. You just have a player liaison agent who helps players settle, and if they settle, they get integrated into the squad quicker, and it helps your squad harmony. Like that's it. Player is not yet settled is like a fact.
Oh, like a sort of like a settled status, sort of how happy they
settled
are with
status
following
is a
the
legal
move and all.
term, but...
No, do you know what I mean? Like again, another yellow bar for Arron. Like, home life, fine, that sort of thing.
I guess it all comes back again to what do we want? Do we want a game that's really like linked to real life, or do we want a game like it always comes back to the same debate, doesn't it?
And another thing that I don't want to do as well is having to like more clicks before you press continue. I think that's another.
I mean,
thing.
you can just having the member of staff isn't even in the game at the club at all. Whereas this is now one of the most important members of staff at a football club. And like a lot of actual football management is player management on a personal level. It's not like
that's true, and I don't think there's actually enough of that in Football Manager.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like,
I don't think there's enough of that in Football Manager.
Even recruitment itself. I mean, the conversations we've had the last few episodes, like we know that the manager isn't doing 99% of the recruitment anymore. They're not picking who the players are. Like football is changing now into sporting director. So are we waiting for sporting director 26 to come out, where we just sit and we have a meeting where the club present us, and it'll probably be more prevalent at the top clubs. There's lower clubs that are starting to pick it up as well, where the club offer you a selection of players. Say, right, we're looking at these 5 players. Do you want to have a say on it? We're going for these guys anyway, and then like whoever fits in works. Or hey, really sorry, but we're gonna have to sell this player. That I know you really like him, but he's going. Simple as that. You're gonna have to start to look to recruit around it. I mean, again, that's realistic, isn't it? But it goes back to the question of, do we want realism or do we want a video game? What do you want?
I think at least that way. I think Football Manager I'd sort of have that button already, right? Like you can do your own transfers and negotiate your own player sales and that sort of stuff, or you can hand it over to your staff. I haven't really used that option, so I can't really say if it's good or bad, but I can just imagine.
It's not great.
So again, the sales not making sense. Does that make sense again? Like, you're just sold. Like, I can just picture you challenging, winning titles, but then at Arsenal, but then your director of it would just sell Saka to Manchester City for 120 million. Like, that just wouldn't make sense.
It happens. Like, I've tried a director of football save, and you end up with 4 goalkeepers and no left back for the season. So what can you do?
Yeah,
like,
so
I feel like AI transfers are a little bit broken as they are. So, which is why that kind of mode becomes irrelevant, because it just doesn't work as it should do.
So So maybe
there's
what
also
we
the
want's
issue as
already
well.
there. We just want it to be improved.
But even when you get to the actual transfer yourself, when you've had your transfer been accepted, it gives you the option underneath, like you can go into the contract negotiations, or you can give it to your director of football.
Yeah.
Never give it to them; it breaks down straight away.
Oh my!
It's like you literally go, "What did you say? What did you say to him?"
See, and that's the thing. Like before you do that, there should be some sort of you communicating with your director of football and you telling them how you want. Like, what's your plan of the player? Sometimes they're just planning it themselves. Like, we think he's a youth prospect, and you're like, wait a second, I was actually planning him to use him, but you've got no communication, so he's just doing what he wants, and then you're doing what you want. So again, yeah, it's in the game, but maybe they could just improve it a lot.
Well, on that line then, Si, is what Arron's suggesting there, some sort of greater involvement with the squad planner, which again forces us to use the squad planner. And I know we're saying about less clicks rather than more clicks, but if you were playing that mode of transfers, when your director of football goes into that conversation, you've got this player ranked above your current player in that position to show your director of football, this is how seriously I want this player. Don't go in and say he's a youth prospect breakthrough. We want to be telling him when at the table, you are first team. You are going to replace the guy who's currently in that position right now, rather than, I'm aware you're currently sat as a breakthrough prospect. We're not going to offer you the same terms. We want you as part of the team. Would that help, do you reckon?
I don't think it's a less clicks v more clicks thing. Generally, yes, you would want less clicks to do things, but it's like it's more like is it a fun click? Is it a click that gives you control over something? Is it a click that allows you to do the thing that you want to do? Or is it a busy work click because the game's making you do it and you're just like, oh, I've got to get through this press conference, like press it 10 times, right? So it's like, is the click actually fun rather than, is it too many clicks? Like if I was we're clicking for hours, it's like, it's the number of clicks is irrelevant. It's just more a case of what do I want to do with those clicks? Like if it's giving me control over, I guess like with the director of football thing, you're saying you want your director of football to offer him a different role. I guess the argument would be, well, why didn't you just do the negotiation yourself? But yeah, I can see
because then there'll be no point in. Then there's no point in having that director of football then.
Well, because you might want to send him for a different player. Yeah, maybe
no, because there's no communication. Like, I think there's always a communication thing. Like, it's never like it's either you doing it or me doing it. Like,
yeah,
that's
you want it like a 50-50, right?
You want to have a discussion before. I'm actually opening for Manager because I think I'm speaking on something that actually might be in the game again, but because it's just like in somewhere that you would just never go to normally in a transfer negotiation. But
so here's a question then, McKins.
So let's say
while Arron's pulling this up, 2 secs, right? So when you take over a job and they say in the interview, are you happy to work with the director of football? And we'll stick on director of football for just a little bit. And you click, yes, of course, because I want to leave my current club and I will agree to anything at this point, right? Should that be, when you take over that club, that your director of football is therefore in charge of your transfers? Because we're going to presume that that's how that club is set up prior to you coming. Because that should theoretically cause some element of conflict. Because it's a promise that you've made to the club that you will work with the director of football. But if you're doing all the transfers...
Okay, yeah, so it is there.
Makes no sense. What do you reckon?
So what... My club, Swindon, we have Ian Holloway as our manager at the moment. He's taken over, and apparently it's the first time in about 10 years that we're allowing our manager to actually do the transfers during the January transfer window. So for the last 10 years, whoever the coach / manager or whatever they're called is, the agreement is that they don't make the transfers. That's not their job. And I know that's the case now in quite a lot of clubs. That's not uncommon. So I guess it comes back to, yes, when you go and get a new job in FM, maybe it's a save that you really want to do in a club you really want to manage, but then it comes up, oh, you can't actually make transfers because that's the club philosophy. Does that ruin the game for you? Like, is that leaning towards... This is not a game, this is real life, as opposed to I want to manage this club because it's a game and that's what I want to do? Like, is that going to take away from your experience?
But could you also then say no in the interview and have that as a sort of, well, there's a negotiation point somewhere. The club in the background has got to make a decision. Go, right, look, I'm not working with the director of football. Okay, fair enough. Well, we still desperately want you as the manager, so we'll put you in place and we'll remove the director of football. Or, sorry, you miss out on the job. It might come back up in the future.
How likely is that to happen, though? Like, if you've got, like Swindon, if you've got a club that will always go to the director of football to do the transfers, if you're doing like a journeyman save and the Barcelona job comes up, and it's not come up for a 50-season save, and you go for it, but you can't make the transfers, like, in that situation, you're going to be peed off, right?
But you'd also have the experience of, and we'll use Holloway's example here, if you are that length into your save, and you are coming in with this vast wealth of experience and knowledge, the club might well at the time go, you know what, he might actually know better. Like, okay, fine, we want the manager in. Like, it's unlikely, of course it is, but there's always got to be, just because it's unlikely doesn't mean it shouldn't be out of the game. You could still have as a percentage.
This is hurting my head.
Sorry, Arron.
You know what it is?
I'm usually the guy that campaigns for the game to be more simplistic. But
I'm on both sides. And with McKins, I think it's because I think it's just football games in general. You always have that you can just do whatever you want sort of thing. Like, you can be who you want, no restrictions, whatever it is. But at the same time, there's other games where, like, sometimes you just can't always have the best thing. Like, it's just, like you say, like, if you'll be pissed off if you don't get the Barcelona job, and it's like, that's just sort of real life, right? Like, that might be a dream job, but it's not going the way you want it. You're going to be pissed off that you didn't get it, but it's sort of just the way it is.
Yeah.
But
it's like,
I think it'll be difficult for Football Manager fans to get used to that, knowing previously it's always just been you could just be who you want, and in the middle of a game you could just control Barcelona if they come to you or whatever it is with no restrictions. We're so used to that, and then all of a sudden it's, or with RB Salzburg, you can definitely not buy anyone under the age of 23 and that sort of thing. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe in my head it can make the game fun, but at the same time I can also see people being really upset about it.
yeah,
For them, for Football Managers to put it in now, I think that would be risky for them. I think that would be a very risky move for them.
It would be a risk. When you go for like a job interview in real life, like, and you think the interview's gone really well, but there's one answer that you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't have said that because I'm not going to get the job now. Go on.
No, carry on. So, carry on. I'm going to hold my thought.
Okay. And then you don't get the job because of that one thing that you've said. Like you were saying, Tony, if the interview goes really well, but then they say, right, you can't make transfers, the director of football's going to do it all, and you say, I don't agree to that, and they say, fine, then we won't have you, you're going to think, like, for the rest of your life then, what if I just agree to say yes? And I'm talking once in a lifetime, as in Journeyman FM say 50 season save. In that world, that is a once in a lifetime. Yeah, that is.
So what if you've applied for the job? Which way did I have it? There'll be a difference between, like, if they offered you the job, then you would have to go along to their rules. But if you've applied to the job, then it's sort of you've passed the interview, because there's an interview thing in Football Manager, and you can fail the interview in Football Manager as well. So again, you apply for the job, you pass the interview, then it's just free reign. You can do whatever you want. But if they've approached you, then it's more likely that you have to go along to their rules.
I would be against that. I think that is realistic.
Yeah.
Part of me would be a little bit more thinking you might have a little bit more flexibility if they've approached you, because they're clearly interested in hiring you. So therefore, they might be a little bit more willing to go, well, actually, right, you know what, he doesn't want to... How badly do we want him as the manager? Like, are we willing to change our structure for him? Whereas if you've just thrown your CV in, they might
That's
go,
true.
well,
It might be the other way around.
That's how it is. Like, you know, you've applied.
Then it can't be...
When you go for a job normally, you're given like a list of required things, and
and you know what you're walking into. Like, you've applied to that rule. Like, so like you know that whatever can't sign under the age of 23 or over the age of whatever. But so you've applied for that job, right? Knowing that. So then you can't just go there and start changing rules. Exactly. So yeah, maybe that's what that way.
Actually, the question in the game is pretty bad, because it says, "Would you be okay working with a director of football?" Now the question should be, the director of football is going to do all the transfers. Would you be okay with that? Or would you be okay working with the director of football? You'll still have oversight over the transfers. Or maybe it gives you I'd be like, I'm okay working director of football, but I would like some control, or I would like this amount of input into the transfers.
Okay, so there's a negotiation element on there, and it's not just a yes or no.
And then maybe they go, no, sorry, that's a red line for us. Are you sure you want to go with that? And you go, well, okay, maybe I'll backtrack a little bit. It can be a conversation, right?
So here's my question: isn't doing transfers the best part of FM? For me, it is.
I was going to say,
Up there?
I was going to say, and
100%.
If SI are trying to appeal to a younger demographic, let's say, by making the game a little bit simpler, if you then say to them, yeah, but with some clubs you can't make the transfers, is that not going to annoy a whole bunch of the population? So is this whole conversation just irrelevant because it's never going to happen?
It's got to be fun, right? Like, as long as the game's fun, people might find fun in other parts of the game. And if that's like a red line with maybe it's like a toggle. When you load up your game, do you want like hard director you have attribute masking, you have like real fixtures or whatever, and like all these other buttons. Do you want hard director of football mode, like Iron Man mode? Is it like
it'll be really interesting to think that if Football Manager should be a little bit more complicated like this or not, because it'll be in my head it'll be funny to see if those same people that are a bit upset about game-breaking tactics, but at the same time have that free range just to sign whoever you want, then like their argument to me is like it's a bit dented anyway. So if you're upset that you can't buy anyone, but you're also upset about game-breaking tactics and that sort of stuff, and that ruins the game and makes it a little bit unrealistic, then it's sort of like dents your argument. Because you're upset that we've restricted you from signing transfers, but at the same time, you want Football Manager to be more realistic while signing 100 players at the same time.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I completely agree, McKins. You're right. Like, signing players is, for 99.9% of the player base,
the reason why
what they're there for is because
it's the reason,
it gives you the job, it gives you the chance to do what the manager in charge can't do in real life, and so therefore you're in charge. You decide how the game works. The only reason that I'm even thinking we discuss it is SI are very open and saying that this is a representation of real life football. And now, call me a stickler for pedantics here, but a representation of real life football is a move towards head coach than Football Manager. Now, whether that makes a change in 20 years' time, I don't know. I probably can't see it, but I think it's worth debating for a little bit. Some of the stuff we can debate, we know that's not going to come in. Like, we know that we're not going to get stadium developments. But next year we're not even getting national management, and that's a thing. So there's loads of things we can debate that may or not be in the game. And I just figure that for an interesting point, is it worth having that discussion? That we probably know the result at the end of it anyway. But
it literally does call it a simulation. Like, they call it a simulation, so. The main part of the game, like, it's not really simulating real life.
F1 Manager doesn't let you drive the car. Football Manager doesn't let you play be the footballers. So I'm just saying, there's a thing there. Maybe. I'm clutching at straws, to be honest. There's been too long.
I agree.
FM25's been too long.
Buying players is the big reason why a lot of people play the game. So adding restrictions to that, it's possibly not the greatest business move. But I do find there is some fun in having like that sort of realism in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it'll be difficult for Football Manager to have like it as a button. I don't know how easy it is for that.
I'm not against it being like a mode in the game. I would give the mode a try, but for the full fat version, I just think it might take away one of the main selling points of the game, personally.
Well, unless they make it fun, because presumably a manager like Erik ten Hag at Man United wasn't doing the transfers, right? Or was he? Maybe he was. But
who knows?
Presumably, wherever there's a director of football, like they are still in conversation with the manager, and the manager is going, I want this kind of player, and the director of football comes back and goes, how about this guy? And he goes, yeah, go get me that guy. Or like the manager goes, I don't think so, but the director of football's going, well, the chairman wants him. Like, there's a conversation there, and like that, back and forth could be quite fun. Like, one of the best and worst parts of Football Manager right now I mean, it's pretty bad when you're in a situation, but it's like a board meeting, right? They're bad because they're pretty. Most of the aren't like you pretty much know what you have to say. Most of the time they're going to say no to you or whatever. But if it was an actual conversation, you don't know how they're going to respond. They're going to say, "Hey, we want to get him, but he's going to cost us too much." And you're going to say, "I think he's really high priority to me." Or you might say, "Oh, it's okay, just leave it this time." Or you might say, "Oh, well, see if you can get him for cheaper, but if we can't, we'll leave it. We'll move on to another target." Like you can have a conversation about it with your director of football, and like. You're still doing it's actually more fun in that way. You got to convince your director of football in a conversation, or he's got to convince you. He's got to convince you to give up, or that we're not going to get him, or he's going to cost too much, or that maybe he agreed. Maybe he's trying to convince you to get a player. Like maybe he's saying, "Hey, this player's really quick. He's going to increase our shirt signings. We're probably going to get him, and we want you to play him." And you're going, "He doesn't fit my tactic at all." And the director of football goes, "Well, maybe you can fit him in, or maybe you can retrain him." And you're going, "I don't know about that." Like this kind of conversation could be really interesting in the game. If they could work out a way to do that. That's that's almost more immersive than just sat there going, "I'm going to give you important player on 72,000 a week with a goal bonus."
So I was supposed to check it earlier, and that is in the game. They can build on it, but if you right click on the player, so I'm Arsenal, I'm right clicking Wesley Fofana, I go to transfer, and then you can add him to the transfer target, and then it asks you the type of transfer. So if you want it to be a transfer or a loan, and then it asks agreed playing time, where you can set it yourself, important player, the max that you're willing to spend, and then the max wage as well. So it's actually in the game. So my bad.
It's there when you do it that way, but it's not there if you hand it over to them.
Yeah, it's not there, but they can also build on it as well. Like it doesn't really look fun or engaging at all. Like when you click on it,
work as well because they always go, "Yeah, that failed," and then they move on.
Yeah,
and it's just like that's it. I'm with you on that side. A bit of a conversation sounds interesting because as fun as transfers is, it is just literally counting up and down, isn't it? Really, it's just counting. It's like, right, how many clicks am I going to have to do before this virtual club says yes? And then I get to have a conversation with this player to click how many monies I'm going to give him, and then he's in, and that's it. That's there's no negotiation. There's no if you're going to do that, at least have a bit of like for me, I think the best part of a contract negotiation, because I'm a sadist as well, is the bit where I go, I want this, and then I go, I can only afford this. And I know that some people go, yeah, just go and adjust your budgets and that, but that's not realistic, is it? Like, you can do that. You can slide some things. Oh, give him a World Cup win bonus. I'm like, I'm in Vanarama North. Like, I'm not going to. Oh yeah, if you win the World Cup, I'll give you another 75 quid. Does that swing it? It's like, and again, it's just open to abuse. So there should be a little. As fun as it is, it should have structure. It should have rules.
I'm being like Man City manager and adding like a relegation release clause of 0 into the contract always persuades them to come. Yeah, but you're not going to get relegated, are you? So it's pointless. So it feels like a hack that isn't realistic.
Well,
yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I can sort of. I think I know what I mean, but I can't fully explain it. I think that's part of my problem as well. Anything else that we think that we'd like, or anything else that we're worried about?
Well, the biggest thing for me that I want improved really is like AI transfers, and the whole loan system for me just doesn't work as it should. Like, the most annoying thing for me is the whole, I'm going to get a player on loan, and then they recall the player because you haven't played them as a target forward, you've been playing them as a complete forward, so you've recalled them and you've really annoyed them because of it. That makes no sense whatsoever. I get it if you're playing like a striker at centre-back, I get that, but if you're not playing them at
why are you all up in my business anyway? How do you know my tactic? How would they know that I'm using... Do you know what I mean? Like, and it bugs me as well when you're having a guy score 30 goals, but the simple fact that you're not using them as a target, man, is the reason why I'm just going to call him back. Yeah, it's not good for his development.
As well, if the parent club don't use that role in their tactic either. So it's not like you're training them to be like, so you see, you're playing for Liverpool, you go, target forward. Going, you don't play with a target forward. Surely you want me to bring his game on so that he fits in your system when he comes back.
If I've loaned an 18-year-old from Liverpool and I'm playing him every single game, surely you should be happy with that. Don't recall him because, he's an inverted winger and not an inside forward. It's ridiculous.
There's another thing with the loan thing. So previously in Football Manager, you could just keep loaning the same guy. And I think Football Manager's like, nah, we're ending that. There's no way you can have this guy for 5 years. But now sometimes it doesn't really make sense. So I could loan someone So I could be in a championship, loan someone from Manchester City. He play well, we get promoted. And now when I go back to loan them again, it's like they just want to check a different environment. I'm like, wait, what?
So they've done the opposite thing now. Yeah.
That there doesn't make sense. Like, I do understand, like, to keep loaning the same person, it's a bit silly, but sometimes it does make sense, especially when you've put him back on the loan list yourself. So he's available on loan. Nobody else wants him but you, but the club just want a different environment. Like, that don't make sense to me at all.
And you're his favoured personnel as well.
Yeah, it's like, everything just makes sense. Give me one more year in the Premier League and he's all yours. But nah, we need a different environment. Well, now he's just going to rot. And that's
They
the
even
worst.
put extend loan in there, didn't they? But it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that loan stuff.
And you used to be able to, like, click, like, loan to the end of next season.
Yeah.
But you can't do it. Like, it's there, but it's black, like, it's greyed out, so you can't click on it.
Yeah, so yeah. Oh, yeah. That is. Maybe I think it's only some leagues, or it depends on the rules or whatever it is. But yeah, that is grayed out literally 99% of the time. Yeah.
And things like AI transfers, and I don't like it when, like, you've got a £60 million player and you're desperate to get rid of them, so you offer him out for like 15 million, but yet nobody will take him off your hands, even though he's like 500% cut in price. Like, I don't think that's realistic.
Especially when you compare it to real life transfers. When you look at some of the Premier League ones, and it's got who's that lad that's just gone from Villa to Ipswich for 20 million quid or something? You're like,
yeah,
that's a lot of money for a player who's not a first team player, surely. And like all these like £50 million youngsters just like moving around just to like sort of balance out spreadsheets and stuff. And you're like, I'm getting £4 million for this guy who's worth 75 million quid that I'm not using.
I mean, that's your real football equivalent of, you know, the financial never.
Yeah,
You know, the FFP avoiding because you're all sending. Yeah, you can't do that in game. You can't go to Chelsea, buy my youngster for 50 million, and I'll buy yours for 50 million.
That might be breaking a lot of rules doing that.
But I do also like the fact as well. You can't just like send a load of players out as soon as you get into a club as well. Like I do like that. You can't just be like, right, yeah, Deadwood gone, because in real life you can't do that. You are stuck with players for a while.
But then on the other side of that, I guess you could argue it happens in real life. But on the other side of that, sometimes when your player hits a little bit of form, this guy's like a 5 million player, but just because he's on form and you've won the league, all of a sudden his value is just like 50 million, and some donut's just buying him for a crazy amount of money. Buy him, they're not even going to play him just because he's star rating. Again, going back to that star rating.
But when it's your player, you don't mind as much.
Exactly, yeah. That does bug me as well. Oh my God. Because the thing is, like, they can always use that argument, right? It happens in real life. But I think the extent of it happening in the game compared to how it happens in real life, I think it's just very relentless in Football Manager. It's pretty much insane, yeah. Oh, I hate it. Buying your best youngster, there's nothing you could do about it. And then he's just going to go and he's never going to sit on your bench. You're literally automatically putting him in the B team. I hate that transfer so much. That bugs me, man. Oh my God.
I wish there was like when a team comes in for your players. I've had a problem a lot this save, because obviously I can only buy Basque players, so I've really got to try and keep hold of the youngsters. And sometimes, like, if they're not good enough for my team, so they're not in the first team. And like, you know, Man City but they're high potential, so Spurs or Man United often come, or Liverpool come sniffing around, right? But they're chucking like £8 million bids at me, and I'm like, no, because this is going to be £100 million player, and the fact that you're after him tells me he's going to be £100 million player as well. So I'm like, no. But then the player comes to me and says, oh, why didn't you let me move to Liverpool? I'm like, well, I don't need 8 million, and you're a promising youngster.
Yeah.
It's like, I can let you go, but you know, it's got, like, because they obviously, like in real life with players, that if they want to go, they want to go. But at the same time, I'm like, there needs to be like a conversation where it's like, you're going to go Liverpool, but you're not going to play there. Like, they've got 5 centre backs already who are better than you. Like, you telling me you want to go to Liverpool because you want first team football to play, because you want to play in the Champions League. They're not going to use you in the Champions League. They're going to loan you back to like a La Liga club for 5 seasons, and then you'll get sold. And it's happened to me 3 times in this save, and in all 3 times, because eventually they don't sign a contract, and then they get snapped up on a free. 3 players got snapped up on frees. 3 players I buy back 6 months later from those clubs. And it's like, one player's happened to twice, and I'm going to get him back again.
But again, though, it happens in real life so many times. That's the problem, isn't it? Like, you got as well on these on these transfers, you've got players like clubs going for bids. If they underbid as well, and again you're in that situation where like they're going, right, we want to go, and you go, right, no, you're not going, and they go, oh, but how much for? Like, right, and I'll do the little sort of auto suggest button, and it's about 5 times worth of the value that they're currently valued. Went, yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, accept bids for like 5 million quid from them worth 100 grand. I'm like, hang on, like, what? This makes no sense. Like, kicking off, the bid's not right. All right, how much is a bid reasonable? Oh, 5 million. Oh, okay, fair enough, whatever. Away you go. It never works. It needs an overhaul.
I'd love to know why some players are valued what they are. Because sometimes I've got a player and I'm like, that's definitely like a £50 million player. But no club thinks he's worth more than 8 million. The player doesn't think he's worth more than 8 million. And like, but then I've got another player and like clubs will be like, yeah, I will give you 50 million for him. And I'm like, you sure? Like, sure thing.
Is that club called West Ham by any chance?
No, there's normally the Saudi. It's normally the Saudi clubs. Man United, I've got this Anthony fella. You can have him.
Values.
Someone comes in for 80 million.
I feel as for manager, as the years go by, though, I think the values just get more silly and sillier. I think I've started to notice it more as the game gets older as well. But another thing I hate is so a player has a price range, right? You want to go and buy a player, he's between 25 million and 40 million. When do you ever get that player for 25 million? Like, why do you even tell me that 25 million mark? Yeah. Even when I go all up front, that's the worst thing you could do, go all up front, 25 million, because that's like sort of the lowest. Nah, there's no negotiation. They're going from 25 to literally like 50 million. And now they're asking for something that's over than what you told me the max was before. And it's just like, what is happening here?
Well, that's what your scout thinks they'll want from you.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't think so. Because then how's the scout's maximum value always right?
Because... I mean, you can normally convince them like you can do like 20 million with the like add-ons and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. That's when it starts to get into the add-ons thing. Like, it forces you to do that add-ons thing. Because again, like, if I want to just, but it says 20 million, so I just want 20 million. The max might be 35. It's very. I don't think they've ever accepted my 20 million up front, which is actually pretty decent. You're literally getting 20 million up front. But then when they come back with their negotiations, it's just like, well, this doesn't make sense. And
when the player's transfer listed, they'll do it.
Yeah, probably.
They always do it when they're transfer listed.
I don't.
And sometimes you can go in with that 20 mil bid, and the club rejects it. But when you're at your club, the player then goes to the club and go, "Hey, why didn't you take that bid?" The reverse can happen. But you don't see it necessarily.
Help, he does it. Like, you still got to wait like weeks or whatever it is, and even then the club could just continue to say no. Like, it might cause an issue for them, but you're still not getting that player.
Yeah, but you do that as a manager as well, don't you? Look at Liverpool and Trent Alexander-Arnold right now at Real Madrid. They just keep saying no to Real Madrid, even though they're going to lose him for free in the summer.
They're probably weighing up what's the worth, like taking the money or winning a Premier League with Trent. Like, losing Trent at this stage, I mean, that's just that would possibly be another silly thing for Liverpool to do. I said another, like they've done one before, but that would be a silly thing to do, yeah. Time to buy Trent on Football Manager.
So recruitment heavy demands going forward. Then anything else?
Just make it smart. Like you said, the AI transfers in general. AI transfers, I'm worried about. It's just like, I don't know how difficult it is for them to get it right, but it's just silly, and it does ruin saves a bit. Like, you do lose certain, like, you start to lose interest in saves because simply of what the AI are doing and their transfers. Some teams are just really not developing at all. Or Manchester City are just buying like loads of nonsense players for no reason. And the next minute you're looking at they're in 11th place. Like, it happens a lot in Football Manager. I think people start to get bored of it as well with the AI transfers. But I am worried about that because it does. It's part of the fun. Like, you do want to play against a challenge. And there's no challenge when other teams are just buying. Don't get me wrong, there are teams that do buy good players and they do end up building super teams with Football Manager, but far too often you're looking at a PSG and you're looking at a Manchester City and the way they've spent the money, again, there's just no logic. It's Pep Guardiola, tiki-taka, but they're just buying these target forwards and these no-nonsense centre-backs. Like, I think that's probably what McKins is getting at as well a little bit. It's like those sort of signings, it makes no sense in the game.
I've got a big worry. I've got one.
Okay.
I worry that, like, we're all this stuff about new engine and stuff, and everyone's expecting like a new match engine and new graphics and stuff like that. We get into the game, and it looks the same or pretty much the same. It's like really marginal. You know, we know it's not going to look like FIFA, but if it doesn't look any better, and they go, "Hey, but it's in a new engine," and you go,
I think there would be uproar if that happens.
Yeah.
I think people are.
"But well, that's part of my
big
worry
things.
as well. Like it could still be a fun game, but people are not going to be happy."
I think
Yeah.
people have every right not to be happy. To be fair,
But my question is, what are they expecting though? Like, are they expecting like drone cams and like full presentation and like post match analysis? Like, I mean, come on, there's got to be an element of reasonable thought here. I mean,
No,
McKins,
I mean,
right?
there's a
Right.
level, isn't there? There's a level
Right.
where
Yeah.
football games on mobile phone already look better than Football Manager. Like, I think almost any football game looks better than Football Manager at this point. Like, you know, in the graphically, not about match engine, but the graphic engine.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like-
McKins, where would you be wanting it then? Are you pitching it at like this level, or you know, how much improvement are you expecting?
This is
Are you
the
expecting
thing,
to look like PES from the N64 era, or
The thing is, I don't know what I'm expecting. I think I know it's not going to be incredible. I'm not suggesting it will be, but after everything we've been through in the last couple of years with FM and everything they've said about building up to the new engine, I just feel like I'm on the brink of thinking I'm going to be disappointed whatever now, and I don't know why I'm feeling that, but I think I've built it up in my head to be something that's going to be really good, because this is like the main selling point now of this new game that's going to come out, and it's been delayed because it's going to be so great when it comes out. I just want to look at the game and just enjoy playing it and be excited to look at something that looks impressive. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what I'm expecting. But I'm just like, I like looking at aesthetically pleasing things, as we all do, I guess, right? And it's like, based on the screenshots that came out, like, it feels like 5 years ago now of the new game, I just thought it just looked really basic, and I didn't like how it looked. And I want to, because we're never going to look at this game for the next year of our lives, right? Or whenever the next game comes out. I just want to enjoy what I'm looking at. And I don't know what I'm expecting, but I just want to look at it and think, yeah, this is good. I don't know what that looks like. I don't think any of us do.
yeah, I think that's the problem in it. Again, it's that whole. I'm a bit like yourself. I don't really know what I want either. Like, because I know that if I wasn't streaming, I probably wouldn't be bothered about the graphics. Like, because I'd be making it all up in my head anyways to what it looked like on the dots and what actually happened in the game. But because I'm using it as streaming content, then I understand people want to watch that, so it's got to look better. But part of me thinks that, okay, if it looks a little bit like FIFA 96, then fine, it looks like FIFA 96. It's just that's what it is. Like, I don't need it to look like, you know, Amazon Prime broadcast. It doesn't have to look like the NFL, like shot in 8K. It doesn't have to, like, because I'm managing Blind Spartans or something, and like it's still filmed on a phone. Like, just you know what I mean? Maybe they do that. Maybe the league level changes, the graphics change depending on what level you're at.
I mean, so my problem with that is, like, I almost feel like if it had FIFA 96 graphics, it would be better in a way than what we have now. Because, you know, when you first you imagine loading...
Not with their box shoulders. Oh, no.
Yeah, but, like, the manager, all of them now have got, like, orangutan arms. Like, they've all got orangutan arms that are way too long, and they all, like, walk around like this. Like, when you first load up the game, you got to make your manager, right? When you load up the new game and you go to that create a manager, and you've got like a Lego haircut and a felt tip beard, and, like, you know, weird eyes and caterpillars for eyebrows. Not that I can talk, but, you know, they at least match my rest of my facial hair. And, like, the one they don't in the game, like a different texture than the beard and the hair texture, you know. And then, like, you know, the weird body shape, and, like, if you load up 25 and it's the first thing you see, and that's your first reaction, and you're like, oh, shit. Or not. Maybe, like, what is your reaction?
mine would be, oh shit.
Because even if you don't care, you know that other people do care, and that's gonna like create a shitstorm.
Mine would be
There's
like
the
Jif.
question.
I don't know if you see that baby that turns around the corner and then I don't know what he sees, but he just automatically just turns around. Because I'll be live on stream, like I'll be streaming it. If I see like a brick face on the home screen, I'll be doing that. I'll be walking off and just leaving the stream. I'll be gone.
But at
you know
the same
what?
time,
They
it
build
doesn't
those
need to look like
expectations,
UFC, though.
but
Sorry,
they build the
it doesn't-
expectations. So through their own words, I don't think sometimes you can say that people put this image in their head, but it's also through what they've said. I mean, even like before, like last year with their feature releases, and when they're saying these feature releases are this and that, and then when it gets released and it's not this and that, like people do get upset. So I think with like, there's not much they can do. If they're moving from the engine, they have to somehow try and make it exciting. So they have to use these words to get you excited for it. But then they've also now got to deliver as well. I guess that's the risk or the business that they're in. But I think, I'm not that big on graphics. At the same time now, I'm at the stage it is 2025 and it's getting to a point like, I was fine with dots, I was fine with only commentary, but now we've got 3D, you've got to make it good and engaging.
I think it
Especially if
doesn't
you
have
want to
to
bring in
look
new
like
people as well.
Great.
It's,
It
like,
just
it doesn't
can't
have to be
look bad.
great, but it has
You just
to
can't
be
take
like,
you out of the game. Like
At
if you
least the
see an
Sims
alien
level,
looking
you know?
character, and you're like, what?
I think my personal opinion is I love FM, so whatever it is, I'm going to play it and I'm going to enjoy it. I think my worry is the reaction of other people. Like, if it's not what people expect on social media, if it gets like a bad rep and like that means that people don't buy it and then the company does not fail, but like it doesn't do as well as it could have done. Like, that's my worry, is how other people are going to react to a game that is underwhelming for some, but in a way I know it won't be for me. Like, I'll play it either way and I'll enjoy it.
The internet's brutal. Like there's been games that have come out the last few years. Like, I don't know if any of you saw Concord on PlayStation, and you know, functionally, the game is like good, fine, whatever. It's a shooter game, but like the character designs were so they actually look good. The characters, like, they don't look good, but they look like, you know, they graphically they look good, but like the design of them is like awful. They're just like bland, not interesting, Guardians of the Galaxy knockoffs. And the game was like a 200 million pound game for Sony, and like they shut it down in 2 weeks because only 100 people were playing it. It's like it's like a million pounds per player they invested, and they killed it already. You know, and the online discourse around it was brutal, just because people didn't like the character models, not because the character models were ugly, like they were graphically fine, because the character models were boring. And it's like, can you imagine if they were also ugly? Like, that would absolutely kill you know, a game. And you can already see places like the Reddit, Twitter, you know, it's getting a little bit, you know, expectations are already low, people are already pissed. Like, it's gotta get picked up at some point.
Yeah, thankfully those two places are known for being really rational. Aren't they, though? Reddit-
Well, yeah,
Reddit
but
and
that's
Twitter,
it. That sets online
that's
discourse.
But that is the problem, though. There's a lot of people on there with a lot of things to say. I mean, even, you know, we know YouTube comments can be, you know, quite sort of brutal sometimes as well. And like McKins, I totally get your point, and I agree. We always say we are the 0.01% of the player base. Like, we are not just the ones who play more than 3 seasons. We're the ones who play more than 3 seasons with small clubs, and we create content about it, and we make podcasts. And it's like, we are literally like minute on the player base. So what we want is almost irrelevant, because what, you know, Johnny brand new to the franchise who bought the game last year and loves it, they're the ones that need to be serviced most, or the people that have turned up a console, the people that have turned up mobile, because there's a hell of a lot more than them, and they are the ones that really need to be sold to first.
I
And
was
know
gonna
it's going to
say.
anger about, you know, that little 0.0%ers who believe that they are the hardcore and they're the ones that should be catered for first. We shouldn't be. It should be the masses.
And this is
So
the
it's
impossible
sort
job
of
for
relevant, really, what we
SI,
want,
isn't it?
really.
Like, this is they
See,
can't
that-
make everyone happy.
The argument is it's difficult. So there's the moment you mentioned console, this is what I was going to say earlier as well. This is why I think the graphics has to be good, because of how they keep telling us the model, the console audience is growing, it's growing. it looks pretty bad as a console game. So it has to now look like a really good console game too. But also at the same time, you're saying that they don't have to cater for us. I do think us creators, but there's also like the community. Us community are loyal people as well. And I think we're just going to stick through whatever. If FM25 is bad, a new player is not going to continue to play a bad game. They're going to turn it off. Like McKins said, we're going to keep playing it. So I do also think slightly they have to cater to us as well. And I'm not saying us as content creators, but I'm saying us as people that's been in the Football Manager community and been playing the game for a very long time. Loyal customers, basically. And I think many of us are, we're just in that community, that little bubble. All of us are on Twitter, we're all following each other, all of that sort of stuff. I think those people are really important because we're going to play the game no matter what. I really doubt we can play the game for 6 hours on the computer, no problem. I really doubt those console players are putting in the same amount of time and hours in the console game.
Well, I think because we've been playing it for that long, for us, SI have got some credit in the bank. Like we know that you can make, we know you can make a bad game. Like, it's possible. Like, lots of people complain about FM23. Loads of people complain about FM14, FM16. You know, we were all around when Champ Manager 4 happened. Like, you know, it happens. But you know what? We're still here. We weren't the brand new user logging in for the first time, picking Champ Man 4 up and going, ugh, like, what the hell's this? Like, I'm not doing that again. Like, you know, so... While we know that they don't have to cater for us specifically, we will have a bit more allowance to go, right, okay, cool, we understand it's not perfect. FM26, we get that you're moving stuff over. Yeah. But if you're brand new in, your expectations are already at the top.
How many people are like us? Like, as a teacher and speaking to children, what do you play? They all say FIFA. Yep. Like, why don't you play Football Manager? Oh, it doesn't look very good. Like, that's just the general mindset of the younger person. And the only way you're going to get them in is by making it look better. And that's really simple, but they were not going to be involved and engaged unless it looks better.
Yeah. Accessibility. And again, just that initial overwhelmingness of it all, going, what the hell am I supposed to hear? This home screen takes forever, and then what? It's like, you know, we know you need to strip things back.
I could imagine if the game looking good, it's just going to get a lot of new people. I can imagine things like, so the World Cup, if the game looked fantastic, like visually, I mean, with the amount of eyes, insane. And now you got streamers like Angry Ginger and stuff trying to run little Football Manager tournaments. Like, those are actually very important people that's going to put a lot of eyes on Football Manager. But you can see by the way people are reacting in the chat, like they're just looking at people that look like twigs running around, like it doesn't look good on a stream. And I know it sounds silly, again, you like catering to streamers, but it's actually the viewers, the people, the audience that are watching this, and the new audience watching it. It doesn't really look good. Like, they'll watch their favourite streamer play it, but I guarantee they're probably like thinking, I'm not going to pick this game up. Like, there's so many games that I would watch a streamer play it, I wouldn't necessarily pick up myself. And I think for Football Manager, like, it's a football game, so there's like such a large audience that it can grab new audience from. And I think it's an opportunity. Right now, it's an opportunity if the game looks good.
I think that's why us as creators are on edge, because we don't know what's going to happen in March. If a game comes out and it's amazing and we get so many people on board, for us, our content's going to, it's going to skyrocket. But if it's a game that people aren't that interested in, for us, that's a really bad thing. And things will go the other way for us. So, do you know what I mean? Like, especially for people that are doing this, like, a content full time. It's quite a big deal.
Massive deal.
Massive deal. Si, any closing thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obvious why so many of those who do it full time have diversified to create like second and third channels, in related or unrelated areas. I think this last year proved to them that they have to. And that in a way, that's attention diverted. Some of them have been doing FM content for 10 years now. It's like full time, or maybe like 5 or 7 years full time. But like now, suddenly they're like, "Hey, I'm going to do the other games," and maybe that picks up for them. And Football Manager doesn't become their main thing, and that's a big loss for the game in a way.
Yeah, and using like Clates as an example, I didn't know that he was going full time until the YouTube video came out last week that he was going to do it. But when he brought out his second YouTube channel a couple of months ago of just like football content, I immediately thought he's probably going to go full time there, and that's why he's doing it. It's like a fallback.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
that's
yeah,
how it's
yeah.
worked out. So it does make sense.
Yeah. Literally the reason why I'm doing all the scouting thing as well, like doing other content and just things that are football related but not football manager related. It's just a little bit of a sort of a fallback. Like it's a bit like, I'm confident. I don't know. Again, I don't really know the audience. Are they going to, if FM25 is bad, is your loyal audience just going to continue watching through that period as well? Given that they're literally watching you now through this difficult period already,
Yeah.
are they going to go through that again?
Yeah, basically,
That's
for
like
any viewers watching this, please keep watching us. No matter what happens, we are begging you, stay with us. We work hard on this. Stay with us.
100%.
I think the key word there is loyal, and from what I've noticed is that people who like you tend to follow whatever projects you do. Like I know that people have followed me from stand up into podcasting and streaming, and I'm sure that it's not just the fact that it's like they're not watching the Football Manager per se. We always say that the FM is kind of like on the background, and sometimes it's actually in the way, of the of what we're doing that night. So, loyal people, loyal fans, loyal supporters will follow whatever you do. So, yeah, if it's FM, great. If it's something else, great. But we do appreciate the support, however that comes and wherever it comes from. I think that's fair to say.
100.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. All right. Well, in that sense, then, McKins, where can our supporters go and find you and become a friend of yours?
I am McKinsFM on all social media. So type me into Google, you'll probably find me somewhere. I mainly stream on Twitch, a little bit of YouTube, do a lot of TikToks. So yeah, TikTok and Twitch are my main platforms, I would say.
Yeah, killing it on TikTok as well, so definitely go and do that.
Well, I was,
go
and now it's gone a
out.
bit dead. So, if you are on TikTok, drop me a follow. It would help me. Thank you.
Excellent. Arron, where can they find us? We can find extra stuff from us.
Oh, they can go to patreon.com/the FM Show Pod. That's patreon.com/the FM Show Pod, where you can see some bonus content. Subscribe from as little as £3.
Bonus content that we're going to record after we press stop on this episode here. And Si, if people are feeling flush after Christmas and have some cash they want to spend on other things, what should they buy?
The merch, which is at, I don't know the website, Tony. Is it the FM show?
Is that the link below?
It's linked to the description. It probably tags to the video or something. But have a
Oh,
look
yeah,
at the
yeah.
merch.
There's a
Have a look
spelling
at the
mistake in it, isn't there?
There's quite a glaring spelling mistake that I'm quite embarrassed about. But yeah, no more important. No, social media. Do the social media plug instead. We'll do that.
At the FM show pod on X.
X gonna give it to you.
We're on Instagram now. I think I'll be Arron. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube.
We'll get on Blue Sky. We'll get on Blue Sky.
We're on Spotify.
And send us an email at thefmshowpod@gmail.com. Yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. McKins, always a pleasure having you on. Let's not leave it another year. Let's get you on a bit more regularly
I'll
than
see
that.
you January 2026.
Perfect.
No, we'll see you in like March, April, May time to get your FM25 thoughts.
Yes.
How's that sound?
If it's out.
Yes.
I'll be back.
Let's do that. And
Slide
we'll
into my
play this
DMs.
episode back. It'll be a watch log going, oh yeah, I was wrong about that. Oh, I can't believe I was right. We'll do it that way.
Loans have been fixed. Yes. Maybe not.
It was. Right, yeah, no, we're gonna lock this one off. We're gonna go do some Patreon content. Thank you very so much for everyone who's been watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like the video, comment down below. Take care of yourselves, everyone. We'll see you all on the next one. All the best. Bye now.
Toodles.